The Nintendo Switch eShop is a beautiful place to shop and stare. 2018 was full of bountiful, beautiful eShop experiences, and 2019 promises to be just as sweet. That's why today we're bringing you our list of 10 eShop games we're most excited for and the ones you need to keep your eyes on this coming year. Gabe, we've got a really good list here, a healthy mix of games that we know a lot about and have played, and games that are brand new and exciting.
It's going to be impossible to try to whittle this down if we accounted for absolutely everything coming this year to the eShop. Zach, I don't know if you've heard, Nintendo likes putting out games on eShop every week. A bunch of them. Quite a few. So this was like a little bit tough just because there is a lot of stuff still happening that we are excited for. But 10 is a good number, Zach. I'm happy with that. Why don't you get us started with the first one?
Yeah, this was a fun one to go through because there are a lot of indies that just show up and drop, but there are some big hitters, and we're going to start with one of those that has been announced for quite some time. That is Wargroove, the epic Advance Wars alike, coming from Chucklefish, and this time it seems like it's finally coming. Q1 2019 is when it will be dropping, so sometime in the next few months, this is turned into a major indie project where there are over 12 commanders, 4 different factions. You have campaign mode, you have local multiplayer, online multiplayer, you have co-op play, you have map and campaign editors, and you have a ton of units all duking it out. So reminiscent of one of my favorite handheld series of all time. I wish Advance Wars would come back to the Switch, but Wargroove seems like a very good alternative.
It seems like it is going to be well worth the wait. It is a packed game. There's so much here, Zach. And the thing that we overlook a little bit is, hey, we can play this online, dude. Like, it doesn't even look like it. Like, you watch a trailer, it doesn't quite click, at least with me. I can't speak for you. It doesn't click with me that, like, hey, Zach and I can play this together, even though we're not in the same location. Yeah. So that's going to be really, really cool to see how that goes. Yeah, I mean, this has been coming for quite some time, and I agree with you. I think it's finally time. I don't think Chucklefish is going to push it back anymore. And yeah, this is probably the one on the list that I'm most excited for, just because the lead up has been so grand.
Yeah, and well, you're also excited because your commander can be a dog, and I know that's how you will strut into battle on all fours. I love the charm that Advance Wars brought to its commanders, and I hope they're able to do similar here. I had so many, gosh, just to get nostalgic for a minute, so many fun times of me and Jake just playing on our Game Boy Advances, Advance Wars, duking it out like on trips or at hotels or things of that sort. I hope this brings back that vibe. And, you know, they are promising very deep gameplay mechanics, lots of strategy, and that they say it's accessible and easy to pick up, but very difficult to master. And that will be fun if there is that progression of as you play, you learn more, you get familiar with your army, figuring out which commander you like best. And yeah, let's battle it out, Gabe, as soon as this thing drops.
Yes, I am 100% ready for you already. I've been training a dog and learning his ways, so I'll be ready for you, Zach. All right. Number 2, though, we have Feudal Alloy. This game is coming out this month, Zach. You don't got to wait that much longer. A couple weeks. January 17th, you can pick this up on eShop for $17. $17 on the 17th. It's almost like a magical combination. And this beautifully hand-drawn art style really calls my name. But then I saw the trailer, Zach, and it's like way deeper than I originally thought. Because I heard about the game, and I said, okay, it's just like another side-scroller on Nintendo Switch. But, Zach, you are controlling a medieval robot with a fish, first of all. Very creative and unique. You don't see that every day, do you? And it's like loot based.
It depends where you look.
Oh shit! Maybe the parts of town that you frequent are a little bit different than the ones I do.
Hey, Florida has a lot of swamps. There's a lot of weird sea creatures growing down here.
But are they controlling humans?
Well, knowing Florida, it's not outside the realm of possibility.
All right, regardless, whatever humans in Florida are being controlled by humans, I guarantee you that they don't have loot. There is a lot of loot in the game. Your equipment changes. It's like an RPG, really, because it not only changes the appearance, it also changes the attributes. You're going to learn skills along the way, a dynamic action combat system with swords, grenades, dodges, and other special moves. So it's a little bit deeper than I originally thought, and then you originally thought, because I told you about it, Zach, and then you check this out, and you're like, hey, like this kind of looks cool. So, yeah, this one you don't have to wait very long for, unlike some of this other stuff on the list. So it's easy to get more excited for this now, so start. This should be on your radar.
Absolutely. I like that it's a huge interconnected world, so you will be venturing, I'm assuming, back and forth, and it says, you can choose which path to take, and I wonder if there will be a little bit of sort of, hey, you have to beef up your character and improve your robot before you can tackle enemies down this path, and while they aren't really saying the Metroidvania word here. Maybe it will have some sort of like back and forth and figuring out which areas are best for you to go. I'm pumped for it. It looks great. You totally turned me on to this one, and I am definitely stoked. I'm also stoked, Gabe, for Shovel Knight King of Cards. These games just keep coming. We were actually talking a little bit before about like, man, when is Yacht Club going to get to do something different? Because they do such good work. But in the meantime, we have one more Shovel Knight title to experience. This one you play as King Knight, the Gilded Goon. That's such a good nickname. I wish I had a nickname that good. He has 4 new worlds, 30 new courses, and it will bring the whole Shovel Knight franchise together, completing the Treasure Trove saga, and it should be out pretty soon. April is a couple months away, so it is a first half of the year, a nice spring game. If you've played Shovel Knight, you know what this is. It harkens back to old school gameplay with very sound mechanics, and some new school ideas, some good charm. It's one of the best, I think, games that takes advantage of what SNES titles did and spins it in a way that still feels very fun and fresh for the modern era. So collect tons of new weapons, armors, abilities, and followers to look your dandiest. So this dude looking fresh as a fancy Gilded Goon King. This is right up my alley, and I'm excited to dive in.
I know former SwitchForcer Jake is going to have a really good time with this one because, you know, Shovel Knight was one of the first things he like even played on Nintendo Switch. I remember launch night and how he kind of dived into that. So I'm excited to see what his thoughts are. But yeah, I'm ready for the Shovel Knight thing to be over. Not because I don't like the games. The games are phenomenal. You know, don't get me wrong here. But I do want to see them do something different, and just the, hey, one more go of it is probably going to mean that they're going to put their all into this. They claim it's bigger and grander than ever. This experience is not going to be a small one by any means. I'm excited for it. You like Shovel Knight, right?
Yeah, they're fantastic games, and I really like them. And, you know, it's going to be $10 if you don't have the Treasure Trove, or if you've already purchased in on that pack, then you get to download it for free. So that's pretty sweet as well, that once this drops, if you're already in on the grander adventure, you just get the game and get to go.
I'm ready for my grand adventure, Zach. All right.
Take us to another January title.
This one is very, very late in the month. Dragon Marked for Death, coming on the 31st of January, as late as it can possibly be. And this game, man, it's been like Wargroove, I guess. It was originally announced during one of the first like Nindies, like Wargroove, and then it just got delayed and then got delayed. It was supposed to come out late 2018, last year, Zach, even though that was just not that long ago. I did it right this time. Look at me. All right.
A few days.
Yeah, it was supposed to be out in December, didn't make it, but now they are promising that it's finally coming. And like Wargroove, this is multiplayer, and you can play online. Zach, I'll be your tank. I'll go make sure that I'm the one taking the brunt of the damage while you are hiding in a corner of the back trying to deal as much damage to the boss as possible. A very cool art style. Kind of reminds me of Mega Man X, that series for some reason. And a lot of people say that. They've been excited for it for some time, but I fear that it has the same fate that games like Dark Souls do, where like people will be like really, really excited, but then it gets like pushed back so often that they forget about it. So I hope that they can do something to bring it back into the forefront, because Integrates does a lot of really cool stuff, and I want to see this game succeed because it's a very ambitious game. It's going to be big. They claim that for the price you can get like 30 hours of gameplay, and the game costs $15, so they have so much stuff in the game. And if they can keep up a good mixture of the progression with the RPG elements and the fun of the side-scrolling nature of it, I think it could be really, really fun.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that they talk about, you know, tons of main quests, side quests, and how that all sort of takes shape in this side-scrolling multiplayer world will be really interesting. Plus, Gabe, bosses that are bigger than the entire screen. That sounds very appealing to me. But let's take it to something that is a market departure from all the games already discussed. No side-scrolling action here. This is card action, and that's Slay the Spire. The game is coming out sometime in 2019. It looks like it's going to be early 2019, and this is one that does originate on other platforms, and one that I am in love with. If you have any interest in card-based gaming or strategy gaming or maybe even RPGs, you got to check this one out. I think it is one of, if not the best of the bunch of games. It's got a very different feel than something like Elder Scrolls Legends or Hearthstone. It's kind of tapping into a different type of card game where you are progressing through individual battles, building out your deck, and it's more about acquisition of cards and forming the most efficient and powerful deck to progress in a roguelite style Very, very cool game. It'll be perfect on Switch. They've continued to add content to the PC version, as well as daily challenges that I know a lot of people, players, and YouTubers are very into. It's a simple concept with kind of an unappealing art style, but it's executed so masterfully. It's a ton of fun. Like, yeah, you have to at least give this one a try.
Yeah, and we have to. Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned it, and I was going to mention it. Like, the art style isn't like the prettiest, but
no,
if you can sit through that, I do think you find a really cool, fun experience. My experience with Slay the Spire isn't as in depth as you. I've tried it in a very limited manner, and I enjoy it. But I heard it was coming to Switch, so I figured why not just wait there before I put a bunch of time in elsewhere. So yes, Zach, I am also very excited for Slay the Spire. Another exciting thing happening though is a sequel to one of the most popular games of all time in the indie space, at least, and that is Super Meat Boy. And Super Meat Boy Forever is promising to come this year with a little bit more of a simplistic but also more complex go around this time. And I know that's a direct contradiction there, Zach, but let me tell you a little bit about it. This got announced a very long time ago as a mobile game. It was going to be a little sequel to Super Meat Boy Forever, but then they decided to kind of blow it up, and instead of being a one button like runner game, they now have 2 buttons, and they focus development on consoles now, and this is like the full-fledged sequel. They have even said to me, they say, hey, this is Super Meat Boy 2. We just didn't want to call it that. We thought this was a more exciting name, but for all intents and purposes, this is Super Meat Boy 2. And as you can see from the trailer, it's still as hellish and difficult as it's ever been. Even though the running isn't really being done by you, you do have that punch ability that also kind of acts like a dash, and you still have to make sure to avoid all these crazy spikes. There's way more enemies this time around. It looks like an absolutely insane time, Zach. Will you rescue her? Will you rescue female meat? What's her name?
Gabe, this one isn't about Bandage Girl. This one is about their child Nugget. You're going to save the baby of Meat Boy and Bandage Girl, trying to keep this family together across 6 chapters. The baby is a girl.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yes. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure that you knew that this wasn't Bandage Girl.
No. Okay. I know. Like the baby. I said her, but it's a baby girl.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You got a new twist on the art style, as you mentioned. A lot of just cataclysmic screens of pure brutal chaos and hopefully similar charm. Yeah, Super Meat Boy was one of the early indie darlings back in the XBLA golden era, alongside titles like Braid. Shadow Complex, it really packed a huge punch in spite of its little size. Then they did the whole thing of like a ton of Meat Boys on screen, dying, and that was sort of one of the best elements of that experience. So I'm curious to see if an art style change, a gameplay change, and now a console generation change can maintain the charm, difficulty, and fun that Meat Boy originally showed us. I hope that's the case. I am definitely looking forward to it, and it should be a fairly cheap investment, so one that a lot of people can get in on and give a go.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. I personally like the new art style. I'm not quite sure how you feel about it, but it does kind of harken back to, old school aesthetics, sort of, but with a little bit more of an HD look. And I know that gameplay loop of just dying over and over and over, and that satisfaction when you finally get through that certain part of the stage, like that's almost impossible to replicate in other games. I know like Souls and there's other games that kind of have it, but Super Meat Boy in particular is going to have it. What does have it? Just super quick tangent. When you complete a super hard level in Super Mario Maker, like something like that is what I would...
Absolutely. Yeah. My only concern here is the auto-running nature, if that takes away a little bit from like the adrenaline rush will be maintained, but some of like those perfect jumps and calculating where to go, you're going to have to be not only, I guess, quicker on your toes, but also the way that the stages are laid out will have to be, I feel, just different, because it does need to auto run, and I'm not sure. I don't know. The momentum and movement in Meat Boy was one of my favorite things, so removing that from my repertoire just feels a little odd, but we'll see how it turns out. We'll also see how Minico's Night Market turns out in early 2019. This game is a game that is self-described as a narrative-driven adventure merchant simulation game about crafting crafts, eating eats, and catting cats. It's got 20-plus hours of campaign gameplay. They claim infinite replayability. You'll be crafting, befriending, bartering, and competing in a bunch of little games like cat racing, octopus pole, sumo wrestling. It is a kind of jack-of-all-trades type title where you'll be exploring and, as they say, celebrating Japanese culture throughout a heartwarming story about friendship, tradition, and many, many cats.
I mean, shut it all down. Like, we don't need any other games. Forget the other 9 games on the list, and forget any major Nintendo game coming out this year. This is all we need. I want to be a cat, Zach. You know this about me. But
it looks like a brilliant mixture of like Moonlighter, Minecraft, a cat simulator, maybe a little bit of like, almost like Legend of Zelda-y or that kind of stuff. I'm curious to know, because games like this where they say, hey, it's like, it's everything, right? You got daily activities, jobs, quests, crafting, collecting. What does the gameplay loop boil down to, and are they able to be great at any of these things, or merely just good at all of them? But it does look absolutely stunning. It's a unique art style compared to everything else on the list, and I think that the catting cats element, cat racing, catting, like, we got to give this one a go.
yeah, I mean, in the trailer, you see just various forms of gameplay, right? You asked about the gameplay loop, and in just this trailer alone, you see, cutting a board, you see some racing, you see like some stealth like sections. So there's a lot crammed in here. So yeah, I mean, maybe it is like a wonderful jack of all trades. It's a tree climbing simulator at times. But hey, 20 plus hours of gameplay, maybe they do need to change it up like often enough that's why there is so much. We'll see how this one turns out, but I love the art style. It looks really, really cute. But Zach, speaking of cute, you know what's arguably cuter than cats?
A big honking goose.
You got it. Untitled Goose game coming sometime in 2019. When this game got announced, the internet had a tiny moment of fun with it. They're like, what the heck is this thing? And I mean, what other reaction could you possibly have to something like this? First of all, I want to ask you this. Do you think the name sticks? That's just a name, right? Like, I don't think it's changing at all.
No, I don't think this is a placeholder. I think this is what they're going with in an era where people like to be weird, and, Goat Simulator was a crowning achievement for those guys. I think Untitled Goose Game is what it's called. And I like that they're just telling you how it is. You are a horrible goose. You're not a cute goose. You're not a nice goose. You're not a mischievous goose. You're just a horrible goose.
Zach, I want to tell you the key features of the game, though. Can I? You ready?
Go ahead.
All right. One of the key features is a goose. All right. That's a key feature. Another key feature is inventive sandbox-style gameplay. Another key feature, multiple areas and challenges. And the last / most important key feature is that it is very funny, Zach. So they're not even like trying to sell the game. I'm fascinated by this.
I think the selling is that it is just a strange amalgamation of life as a goose in a simple town. And this is one that I will say could end up being nothing more than a little tech demo. I hope that it does evolve into a full game and maybe capture the charm that something like Donut County was able to capture in 2018. It seems like it could go that way. I'm the most nervous, I'd say, about this one on
Zach,
the list.
The thing that gets me about this game is you're just like so mischievous. Like, there's this like farmer, and he like takes his hat off to wipe the sweat off his head, and the goose just goes and takes the hat, and now the farmer has to chase you around. I'm like, what is this goose even doing?
Basically your life in Texas.
Oh man, yeah. Take us away, Zach. Take us.
Yes, Away is the next title. Away Journey to the Unexpected is coming February 7th, 1999. So again, one that you won't have to wait too long for. This is another game that captures a very, I'd say, unique art style. On one hand, it looks like something out of the Dragon Quest series, and then at other times it looks like a game that could challenge, something more like Firewatch, where you're exploring beautiful forests. And then at times it looks like Minecraft, and then times like Monster Boy, and it's kind of a mix of all of those. They describe it as a feel-good FPS game that combines action, negotiation, and slightly roguish elements presented in an anime style. So you are going to be doing a little bit of all of that with fast and furious combat, characters and items and different options to control, and then venturing deep into these dungeons to survive. It looks very, very cool. It comes from a developer that I have not heard of before, as well as a publisher I'm not familiar with, but it's undeniable that this looks like a unique mix, and it has a very captivating trailer and a really strong first impression.
Yeah, some of these art style, I mean, it's like one art style, I guess, but it is presented in so many different ways. One of the things that I'm like automatically a little skittish about has roguelite elements, but it's roguelite, not like. So I'm hoping that there's not a lot.
What even is the difference between those
who
two?
knows? People use them interchangeably. Companies use them interchangeably. So yeah, but this one, I'm kind of, this is just a feeling, Zach, and I have nothing to back this up. I think this is going to be like one of the sleepers on this list that we like end up like really, really liking for some reason. I don't know. I have an inkling here.
I wish there was an inkling in a way, but sadly there isn't. There's a lot of goo blobs and a lot of skeletons. No inklings in sight, though. Maybe, though, Gabe, you could figure out why as a detective.
Jenny Leclue, Detective-oo. That's such a fantastic name. All right, it's coming. It's a thrilling mystery adventure filled with detectiving and choosiness. Zach, are you a fan of dialogue choices? And not a lot of dialogue choices. You want to get bogged down with like 6 choices, 4 choices. Here, you just have one or the other. You get to pick how the story goes, and it's a thrilling story. Zach, are you ready to be thrilled?
I love being thrilled. I love the art style of this. Again, we started off the list with a lot of pixely type titles, but even back to Feudal Alloy and Super Meat Boy Forever, Minico, Untitled Goose Game Away. Like, I think we're really flexing the eShop's ability to have a lot of different looks and graphical styles, and that should hopefully be very appealing to players in 2019.
They call it a meta-narrative, so it's probably going to make fun of itself a little bit. You are not the only one guiding hand in Jenny's destiny, but your choices will help her unravel the tangled mystery as she becomes the detective she was born to be. Zach, you want to find out what happened to your mother, right? Because she's accused of murder. You don't want your mom to be accused of murder.
Not good at all. I like that it's just this, like, little clever girl, and it reminds me a lot of Broken Age.
The art style,
not
yeah.
1-to-1, but yeah, the art style, just sort of how it is like a serious story, but has like also a lot of charm and goofiness. It looks like a pretty awesome adventure, though, and one that they've been working on for a while. It's I don't know if you ever played these games, but it also looks like an advanced Humongous game. I don't know if you ever played Putt Putt or Fatty Bear or Pajama Sam or Spy Fox. These are computer games that defined my childhood.
I'm not even sure that those are real.
You had to solve little mysteries and deduce who was the culprit. These are geared for 6 to 10-year-olds. Jenny Leclue looks like it levels things up for more adultish players, but nonetheless, a ton. It just oozes charm, and I'm actually, this is one that I'm most excited for on the list.
Yeah, they say that there's a lot to interact with, and players who poke and prod at every last thing are rewarded with insights, secrets, and humor. Yeah, like you, this is probably one of the more exciting ones on the list for me. I love the art style. I love a good mystery, Zach. You know this. I try to stumble onto mysteries on a daily basis if I can. Try to solve those.
You also like to poke and prod. I remember when you poked my BioShock statue. All right. So this is a game for you. It's a really good list, and obviously there will be tons more. A bunch of ports will probably pop up and drop of games that have received great reception on other platforms and now make their way to Switch. And I'm sure there will be new ones that we see showcased in Nindies and E3 and beyond. But for now, this is our list of 10 really exciting eShop games, the ones that we are so pumped for, and we strongly urge you to bookmark and keep an eye on. It goes Wargroove, Feudal Alloy, Shovel Knight King of Cards, Dragon Marked for Death, Slay the Spire, Super Meat Boy Forever, Minico's Night Market, Untitled Goose Game, Away, Journey to the Unexpected, and Jenny Leclue Detective-oo. That's our 10. Gabe, do you have a pick for one or two of these that you just can't wait to play?
I mean, we just said it with Jenny Leclue, so I'll kind of forego that one and say Feudal Alloy. It's very near being released. I hope that it doesn't let me down. I'm going to dive headfirst into that. I'm going to just go hard on it. I want to get through it as quickly as possible. It seems like my type of game, so I'll probably just go with Feudal Alloy.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's all of these games, honestly, are ones that I will download day and date. Wargroove, though, takes the cake just because it's been in development for so long, and I love me some Advance Wars, and this seems like the second coming. Shout out as well to Slay the Spire for being just a near perfect take on card game roguelike mashup. But everything here is interesting. Let us know the ones you are most excited for, and if there's an indie game or two that you can't wait for that we don't know about, definitely tell us why and what it is in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed our pump for 2019 on Switch. We know we are, and we can't wait to share it with you. So subscribe to stay up to date on the latest and greatest from the Switch and its games this year and beyond. For now, though, for myself and Gabe, thanks so much for watching Fantastic Day. We love you. SwitchForce out.